Hello everyone, I hope you're well. Today's video I'm going to be sharing my December book club picks. I have two of them that I want us to read. One's really short and one's more of kind of a classic project we can do. And then I have three books to show you that I picked up from charity shops just over the last month or so. And then one book that I actually got for my birthday, and it's a book I've wanted for such a long time. So first up, let's get into the books that I've chosen for the December Tay Book Club. The first book is one that in my first Friday Reads in a Car, I've done one, but the first one I mentioned this book and I was like, oh, I'm not sure I was going to pick this, but I don't think I'm going to. And the comments were like, please pick this, this is the one we want to read. So I was like, okay, I'll pick it. And that was A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. So this is what we're going to be reading for the December book club. How you send in your reviews and everything is you just read this by the end of the month, and I'll put a picture of this up on my Instagram, and you can either comment down on my Instagram, you can comment down on one of my YouTube videos. I read every single comment and message that I get. So just as long as you post it publicly, comment your review of what you think of this book, then I can screenshot it and then I can put it in my review video. So you've got till the end of December to read this. There is an audiobook version of this on YouTube and it is about 3 hours long. So it's a very quick audio book. I have read this book before. I'm sure many of you have read it before, but people just thought it'd be a nice pick. So we're going to be reading this book and doing a discussion on it. And then the next book, which I'll do a separate review video for, if you would like to read this with me in December. I mentioned this again in the Friday Reads in a Car video, and I was like, oh, I'm not sure about this one. And people were like, oh yes, this one, please pick it. Sense and Sensibility by Jane Austen. I have not read this book. The only Jane Austen book that I've ever read is Persuasion. That's her shortest work and I enjoyed it, but maybe because it's her shortest work, I don't know. Loads of people say Persuasion is kind of considered unfinished, so maybe you liked it because it was quite concise and together. But I haven't read anything else about Jane Austen. Can I just say one thing, which is that this is a gorgeous edition of a book, and I bought it like this. Can you see? Someone has put their cup down, a coffee cup, on the front of this book, and I remember seeing this in a shop and thinking, how sad that someone's put a coffee cup on this book. I need to buy this book and protect it forever. Is anyone odd like that about books that you see that are a bit battered? Look how unloved it looks with this coffee mark, and I'm like, oh my god, but it's a gorgeous old, I need to protect you. You're going to be okay with me. It's stunning. Let me show you the, there's the in pages there. Absolutely gorgeous old edition. And then the best bit is this bit here. Just beautiful. But it is tiny print. That's the only thing with old books, is the print is so small. But I am going to be reading from this edition, Sense and Sensibility. There is audiobook versions on YouTube. I don't know if they're any good or not because I don't listen to audiobooks, but I'm going to be reading the book in its physical form. So we're going to read this by the end of December. Tell me down below if you are joining in. Please join in with this book club. I don't want to be the only one reading this because I don't know if Jane Austen's for me or not, so I don't know, but hopefully this will be really good, and this book as well. So when you send me your reviews, just send them separately, and then I'll do two separate discussion books on both videos on these books. Yes, please read along with me. So those are the two December picks that I have chosen. I thought I would get this video out so you can go out and buy those books, but a lot of people said that they already had Sense and Sensibility, so that's why we were pick Sense and Sensibility. I've got it on my TV, I'll pick it. So that's why I picked that one. I'm not very sure what to expect from it though. And now I'm going to show you the books that I've just picked up over the last probably few months from bookshops. I don't really do book hauls anymore because I have so many books. I want to read everything that I own before I really go out and buy loads more. But I have a few here. I have, this is from a charity shop. This is Angela Carter, Wise Children. I read Angela Carter, The Bloody Chamber, which is a short story collection of fairy tale retellings but with kind of a feminist twist, and I loved it. I thought it was so great. I adored it. So I thought I'd pick up a novel. So this is about a richly comic tale of the entangled fortunes of two theatrical families. That's all I know about it. I love this cover. I really don't like photographic covers normally when it's people's faces. If it's a photograph of a landscape, that's fine. But if it's a photograph of someone's face, I'm like, oh, I wanted to envision them. But I quite like paintings. So this is a painting of two women. And I quite like paintings on a book. They just have a nice feel about it. So tell me if you've read this or not. I don't really know what to expect from that. I then picked up from a charity shop. This is The Middle Kingdom by Andrea Barrett. and this is about a woman who, she's overweight, bored with her marriage, and she decides to go to China, and that kind of opens her eyes to the rest of the world. I really like this cover as well. I love the orange of it, and this is kind of a picture one, but it's been distorted. I think it's a really nice cover, and I like books about women kind of discovering themselves and just going off on a journey by themselves. I quite like those kind of books. I've never heard anything about it. And then this one seems mental, like on reflection. I'm not sure why I picked it up, but I actually cannot wait to read it. It just seems mad. I mean, the cover alone, it's just cheesy as hell. You've got like this kind of old-fashioned American, what do you call it, like panelled house, and then you have these autumn leaves, and then you have this white bit here, and then here you've just got some kind of barren land with a woodland, and then a little white, I don't know if that's a chapel or a house, I can't tell. This is called Sarah's Window by Janice Graham, and it's massive. I mean, look how big this book is. It's not large print or anything though, but it's a big book, and it's about this woman. Okay, oh, it does say on the back immense and barren landscape. Oh, a quickly crossed and easily forgotten. Oh, but I thought it was going to be a bit supernatural, but I'm not quite sure. It's about a young woman bound by ghosts of a tragic past and a man of extraordinary genius. I don't know why I got this. So this woman like spends her night secluded upstairs in her room, and then this man who's a research physicist, he comes along. He's got a wife. Is this going to be a romance? Is she going to be a homewrecker? We don't know. I thought it was going to be she was a psychic. But I think they're just using like the word ghosts as like, oh, you know, she's kind of haunted by her past, but I thought it was a literal haunting. Don't! I thought she was going to be a psychic, and she was going to be living in this house in America, this big house in the middle of nowhere, and then this man was going to come to her because he wanted to talk to ghosts. But now I'm reading it, that's actually not what it's about at all. Do you ever do that? This was 25p, so it's not that bad, but do you ever, oh, charity shop near me, people who live in England, 25p for a book or 5 for a pound. How good is that? You don't really get charity shops like that anymore, but this charity shop, it kind of does more bric-a-brac, like they don't really care too much about the books. I think they just want to kind of get rid of them, but like 5 books for a pound, that's really good. But anyway, do you ever buy a book and you think it's about one thing and then you get it back and you're like, what was I actually thinking? Because you're in a shop, it's noisy, there's like people about and you're not really thinking. So this is just about a woman who's had like a tragic past, and then a man comes along with his wife and son, adopted son, and Sarah is drawn into their world and takes the task of caring for their child. So this is literally just about a babysitter then, is it? And the babysitter's got a bit of a tragic past, but I'm guessing, what? So through the child she's gonna learn to love again, live again. Like, this isn't about ghosts. I thought this was gonna be really mad about ghosts, but it's not. It's literally about it's a babysitting tale, I think. I still am intrigued to read it though. And then the last book is a book that I went to, it was in Southend. If you live in like Southend-on-Sea, which you probably don't, but it's where I'm from, there used to be a Southend library, which there is still, but the old Southend library has been called into something called the Beecroft, which is like a gallery, and they downstairs in it always have a jazz area, so you can listen to jazz music. It's all about jazz history, and they had loads of books about jazz, and I love Billie Holiday, and I've spoken about her before. I'm always listening to her CD. I got that 8 CD ultimate collection of Billie Holiday, love it. She was a jazz singer, and this book is a book I wanted for such a long time, and my mum got it for me as a surprise for my birthday. So there was a woman, and the woman was called, let me tell you, Linda QL. In the 1970s was a Billie Holiday fan, and she decided to interview more than 150 people who had met Billie Holiday, the jazz singer, who knew Billie Holiday. So these people are described as pimps, drug dealers, musicians, various people that she knew within her life. She sat down and she interviewed all of them, and then she died. The woman died who was collecting the interviews. So then another woman thought, well, we've got to do something with these interviews, you know, it's such amazing work. And that woman's called Julia Blackburn. And so Julia Blackburn decided to take the original woman who had died, take all her interviews and compile them into a book. And that's what the original woman wanted it to be, a book. So it starts, so it's all chaptered, and then it has the name of the person. So Jimmy Fletcher. And then a quote from them, she was the loving type. And then it goes into it, and it's like listening to Jimmy Fletcher's voice, you don't get the sense that he is drunk or high, but he does sound very nervous. And it's all stuff about them. So then Julia's kind of going into, she's listening to the interview tapes, but then she's also putting her own kind of opinion, so you can feel a bit more of the tapes. And then it's just the people who knew her, 150 people who knew her. I don't know if all 150 made it into the book or just a few. I'm guessing just a few. It's all their stories about Billie Holiday. And I love this picture here. It hasn't got any other pictures within the book, but this picture here is Billie Holiday in her dressing room, and you just get a sense that it's like backstage, and that's what the whole book is about, is like backstage into her life. So if you don't know anything about Billie Holiday, basically she was a very famous jazz singer, but she had a very tragic life. She had a very sad childhood, she had a very sad adulthood, and she went on to be a heroin addict. When she was like something like 14, she was arrested for prostitution. She had a very sad life, and any book that you read about Billie Holiday is from the point of view that her life was tragic and sad. I actually have bought a book that she wrote with another man. She wrote herself, her life story, that I really want to read that first, then I'm going to read this one. But all the books are like, she's such a tragic star, and you can feel her pain in her voice, and sad, 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 sad. Whereas this book, it has got like sad elements within it, but the thing about it as well is that she was eccentric. She was wildly eccentric, and no one really talks about that, how she was like a little bit mad, but in a fantastic way. She herself wasn't a bad person, she was just someone who was always attracted to people who had bad intentions for her. So when she started making money, she was attracted to men who would beat her up, and then she would take drugs. But she herself was actually a very loving, a very nice person, very kind individual. And that's never really spoken about. It's always like she's a victim, she's this sad, tragic woman, and that's it. When actually she had so much more to her, and that's why I've always wanted this book. It's quite expensive, but I've always wanted this book because I just think it's going to give more of a fairer like story into her. So those are all the books that I have to talk to you about. I'm gonna end the video here, but let me just say December, so right now we are going to be reading Sense and Sensibility and A Christmas Carol. I think I'm going to read A Christmas Carol first just because it's short. I'm going to read it, and I've already read it before, make my notes on that, then read Sense and Sensibility, and they will have 2 separate review videos that I will put up. I hope you're excited for that. I hope these are the books that you wanted, because these are the books in the comments that were the most popular. Another book that was really popular was Little Women, and Little Women is a great book choice for this time of year, but I've already read it and I wasn't in love with Little Women. I thought it was a good book, but I wasn't like it's my favourite or anything, so I didn't want to read on in the series, and I didn't want to reread that book. But let me tell you, Louisa May Alcott, she wrote Little Women, but a book from her that I absolutely adored was Underneath the Lilacs, and that would actually be a lovely read. Even though it's set in the summer, this would be a lovely now read, because it's all about community and a sense of loving and giving, and you could say it's kind of about the spirit of Christmas, even though it's not like about Christmas or anything. But that is a lovely book if you're looking for another Louisa May Alcott book. But I did hear you on Little Women. I'm not ignoring you, I just didn't want to reread it myself because I have read it and I didn't love the book. So that's why I chose Sense and Sensibility and A Christmas Carol, because they were the second most popular books. So I'm going to end the video here. I'm going to stop chatting in your face, and I will see you again soon for another video.